Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bunny Girl Senpai podcast. This time, me and my buddy Seatactics, we're taking on the movie. Say hello, everybody, to see.
Hello. Hi. See? Tactics.
I don't know why I said say hello to yourself. That was a Freudian slip, but you know, whatever. We're here now. Let's roll with it. So yeah, for those of you that don't know, me and Seatactics, we did a podcast. I want to say what, back in 2018.
Fall of 2018.
Yeah, we did one of The Shell, and I will leave a little link. I have a playlist of that on my channel that you can see, so if you want to catch up and see what our opinions were, you can check those out. But today was the day that we decided to actually watch the movie. Does this have an official name? I just call it Bunny Girl Senpai, the
Yeah,
movie.
that's what I call it. It's like squealing pig does dream of girl who is bunny and senpai, something like that. Some weird inversion on the anime's name.
Yeah, that is strange. But yeah, so I finished watching this, and I definitely have some thoughts and opinions about this movie. This movie is about an hour and a half long, and what else can I honestly say? Like, every story had like an arc with different women. There was like one that started off with Mai, which is my favorite, and then we have what was after that? It was Ass Kicker Girl,
Yeah, Koga.
and then Science Bobs,
Science bombs.
and my sister was in there when
Oh,
they
I
switched
thought you were
bodies.
saying your sister for a moment. I was like, what? When was your you have a sister?
Sorry, no, my
Cotton
Sakura.
candy eyes.
Yeah, Cotton Candy Eyes, and then it ended with Sakuta's little sister Kaede.
Yeah, and then in between there, Shoko was introduced.
Yeah, she was in there, and this movie is basically all about her. Like this is her arc, pretty much,
Yeah,
basically, and it's done the movie style. And to be honest, it's
it feels like an arc of an anime put together in an hour and a half movie. That's kind of what it
pretty
feels like. It feels
pretty
like the
much
anime.
pretty much it like there's I was expecting there to be a lot more, like maybe a better quality of like the animation style, because it's a movie, because normally they do that. Like if it's like they turn it into a movie, they're like, all right, we're going to go all out on the art style and it's going to be great. And even though I thought maybe there was a little improvement, for the most part it was just it didn't feel any different than the show.
Yeah,
And not that that's, I
yeah,
guess, too
it's not a bad
bad.
thing,
I
but
guess I was
it's
just expecting more.
right. I was expecting some more cinematic flair to it, but it honestly just felt like it looked like the anime for my memory. I'm sure there are like minor differences, of course, but it definitely just it watched like a really long episode of the anime, which I don't know. There is something to say about that. Is that like a good thing to have or not? Because I think there's arguments for both. So
Hmm.
like, I don't know, like maybe if somebody's just getting into it now, they'll be able to all watch it in like one go, and it'll be consistent from episode to episode, straight to the movie, which is very nice to have. But yeah, it honestly it really does. It just watches like a movie, or it watches like just 3 episodes of an anime that are
Yeah.
kind of extended a little bit.
Yeah, to be honest, they could have split this up into like three parts or four, whichever you want to call it,
Probably
and they could
probably
have just
4.
they could have put it at, the regular run of the series. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They didn't have to make us wait a year just to watch this movie.
Which
But that's just my opinion.
yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair opinion. I also I appreciate the fact that they gave this kind of like I think if this wasn't a movie, if this was like 3 or 4 OVAs, I don't think it would have gotten as much of attention, because you like go look at like Real Life. And like Real Life's anime was really great, and it had kind of like the same thing, except for instead of a movie, they did an OVA to end it. And I don't, I never really saw that many people talking about the ending to Real Life. So I appreciate that the studio that made this was or the people who license it, or like, you know, the production studio, not the people who made the animation itself. I'm glad that they had enough confidence in what they had to release it in theaters, and apparently it was fairly well received as well. And you know, I don't have many great things to say about it, but
Well,
but I will say this: I think it deserves some of the praise it got. I'll say that.
here's what I'll say about it, and then I guess we can go more in depth with everything that happened in the movie. I would say, as far as this movie goes, it's basically the arc of like I said, Shoko, and I think it's the second best arc, right behind Mai's arc, because I mean, there's no topping that arc at all.
I
But
agree.
I think that's why, to me, it's the second best, because I don't know. The worst was Futaba.
Of course, yeah.
To me, that was the worst one, and then Cotton Candy Eyes. Who remembers that? And Coyote was okay. Koga was, you know, in there somewhere. But anyway, the reason why I say this is the second best is just because it actually had some interesting storytelling. I didn't know where it was going. Once again, if you've never seen Bunny Girl Senpai, there's a lot of plot holes and very well convenience, or should I say, no, and they're convenient. They're convenient storytelling plot holes, and you're just like, what's going on?
Convenient of the mother lord of convenient.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like there's a lot of that going on in here, but there was some moments in here where I thought, had they pulled it off better, it could have been a really good movie and a really good story. Because, and this is a spoiler if you guys haven't read the title yet or whatnot, but there's a moment in here where Mai dies,
I like
and
that. This is
that
very
caught me
shocking.
by surprise. I was legit like, are they seriously going to go with this? And I was legit impressed by how that went.
Yeah, no. The thing with Mai is pretty impressive, because it before the next act starts to shift into gear, the like you have no idea of what could come next. Like Mai just freaking died. Like you saw her blood come out of her head onto the asphalt. She's dead. She's deader than dead. And you see this very sad scene with her mother and her sister, you know, crying, and the sister taking it out on Sakata. I mean, it was really like, it felt out of left field, but in like a good way. It was shocking. It added to it, but come on now, this is an anime, y'all. They're bringing her back somehow.
Exactly, and I knew that. As much as I loved that whole sequence of events and how they went about doing it, I just knew it was going to be short-lived, and I knew it wasn't going to be a permanent solution. I'm like, they're going to find a way to bring her back, and sure enough. And gather around, children. If you want to save someone's life, and if you want to go back in time, here's the secret to how you do it. You find a bed, you get yourself some adult soda, and then you go to sleep.
That's no.
That's all it takes.
No, that's not just all it takes, EA. It takes time travel that gets rid of the common sense. That's what she said to start the time travel.
I mean,
I think I am absolutely. Avengers made more sense than this.
Right. At least with Avengers, they at least showed it in the other movies, and you had Ant-Man doing his thing. They at least had a process of how you do it. In this movie, the only thing that makes sense is, I don't know, Just the freaking you just gotta let's go back in time. Let's give yourself a little sippy poo of a beverage, and then go to bed. And if you just have the power to believe, you got it. And that
Yeah.
I knew they were gonna screw it up somehow. I just didn't think it was gonna be so absurd
Time
as it was.
travel in a romance anime. What the
I
fuck?
I mean, to I've seen time travel animes before. One of my favorites is being Steins Gate. Even even they had a logical explanation of how they did things.
Yeah, and it made sense to the layman.
And it
That's all that
it ma-
mattered.
it made absolute sense. It absolutely did. But this one, yeah, I was
Time
legit just
travel.
I was like, here we go. Time travel. Oh, the cheat nut. The cheat nut's here. How does it hold up to the standard set by the first three episodes? First three episodes are of Bunny Girl Senpai are great. Then after that, it goes into different arcs, and it's okay. I dropped the series, but I remember the first couple episodes being really good. They were really good, but it doesn't get any. It's okay after that. There's a couple of arcs you can skip, to be honest, but that's about it.
I mean,
But
one of the literal lines was Futaba going, "This isn't quantum theory," or what was the actual wording? I have it here. "This isn't
I
quantum mechanics, but theory of relativity." I'm like, what the fuck is this like writing? Like, are we in like a time? Are we in a time travel anime? What are we doing here?
seriously, and I thought they contradicted themselves quite a bit when they were talking about the time travel thing. Because earlier in the movie, Futaba and what's his name, Sakuta, were talking about Shoko, she's not the future self, but she's like present self, and everything's slowing down and she's speeding up. But didn't she grow up, and then she said, "Hey, I'm the future Sakuto, and now I want to get married." It's like you
Well,
kind of contradicted yourself when you said that, didn't you?
she at one point she even said like there was another the other Shoko was trying to stop them
Right,
from doing it or something, and I'm like, what the fuck? What the hell? What are you talking about, anime?
right. You, you know, it doesn't know what it's talking about.
It
It wishes it did.
it's smarty smart dialogue, but without any of the logic behind it, and it's the worst thing about it is, I mean, there are some great witty lines in here. Like I like how Sakuta at one point says "Please help me" in English. I like that exchange
Yeah, on the
where
phone.
yeah, I like the exchange between Shoko and Mai, where Shoko's like, "I don't mind if anything happens,"
Oh,
and Mai's like,
I was
"No
thinking,
means no," and she's like, "Yes means yes," and she's like,
can we
"No."
talk about that for a second?
Yeah, totally.
How is Sakuta not being like, Shoko, you need to get the fuck out of here? I have a girlfriend. You what are you doing wanting to stay here? Well, I can't stay anywhere else. And then Mai's like, stay at my place. And she's like, no, I don't want to inconvenience you, but you want to inconvenience him. You know what I mean? It's just like, why are you doing it? Well, we know why you're doing it, because you have a
It's
little thing. It's like,
not. I think
oh,
it goes beyond that. I think it's just a trope they had to put in. I think it's just something that the writer had like a fantasy about, and it's also something that people who watch anime like.
two girls living together with a
It's.
guy.
I mean, it's boring. It's dumb. It's stupid. The show didn't honestly need it, honestly, because as we see later, Shoko being a presence in Sakata's house means absolutely nothing to the story.
Correct. It serves zero purpose. I mean, I know we find out later, and we find out that at one point Sakata actually, I guess in a different timeline, he died, and basically his heart went to Shoko,
Yeah, went
and
to the
that
grown up one, I
the
believe.
grown up one, yes, and that's how she was able to live and not have to worry about having her heart disease or whatever.
Yeah, because the young Shoko has her heart stops growing, and so one of her things at the very beginning of the movie is that she has like this list of things she wants to do, and one of her things was to graduate high school and be healthy because doctors told her that she wouldn't live out of middle school.
Yeah. Just a little something I forgot to mention. but yeah, there's that happening. There's multiple Shokos going on. There's one in middle school, and then there's one that's, I guess, an adult, but at one point she was a teenager. Now she's in college age.
Yeah.
She goes up and down with age.
And you can't tell the difference between the college one and
other,
the high
other
school
than
one.
Other than the college one dresses like she's going out on a night on the town. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there's really no difference.
Until I started thinking about it, I was like, those are different Shokos. There's 3. Huh?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Yeah. And then she, hey, let me show you my dress, Sakuta. Let me show you my wedding dress. And then she comes out looking magnificent, and he's just like, just doesn't know what to say.
And once again, he's got the most perfect girlfriend ever.
Yeah.
And he's doing all this.
She literally gave her life for him. And he's ogling other women.
He still does it. He does it at the end when he ogles Futaba, and he's like, "You've ballooned."
He's like, "Oh,"
which is, by the way, rude.
Right.
You don't walk up to a girl and say you've ballooned. He even did it to Koga, and Koga doesn't deserve any of it.
Well, I think he has a special relationship with Koga. Like, he likes to call her fat a lot.
Oh yeah, you're right. They're kind of like buddy, aren't they?
Yeah, he calls her fat, and she goes, what does she say? I'm super pissed. Or whatever she says.
She has like a southern accent for the Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
Like she speaks in that a weird different accent.
Exactly. She has different dialect. But yeah, Futaba, her retort is, "Oh, you little rascal." She's there to drop the name of the title of the movie. That's what she does.
Well, not only that, but to try to make sense of this nonsensical fucking plot.
Right. That's right. She is there,
which makes it worse, honestly.
Right, because they try so hard to make it seem logical, but in the end, they don't even know what they're talking about. It's like, yeah, it's really frustrating. It's ad nauseum, but
it's so like, I feel like anyone sitting down to watch this anime I think the people watching this anime are fans of the series anyway, so it's like the expectations are there. It's like whatever. Which, by the way, like I didn't hate watching this film. I was just rolling my goddamn eyes at every single time it didn't make sense. Which is a lot. But
I felt the same way. I feel like there was a certain point in which the movie could have ended, but then they kept dragging it on. I don't know if you felt that way too, but I personally felt it went on a little too longer than it needed.
I feel like the middle section and after My Dies was just like a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can we like what are we doing here? Let's hurry up the plot along, because I remember the scene where Mai begs Sakata not to go and do this. And whatnot, and then Mai dies, and then it's all just like he's moping around. And I get what they're trying to do there. They're trying to show like what Mai meant to Sakata and the mistake he made, which sets up the motivation for him to time fucking travel. Jesus,
I want to say, but we all knew it was going to happen in the end, and to me, that's why it kind of felt long. It's like, she's not dead. I mean, yeah, she died in this timeline, but something's going to happen. And, of course, Shoko is like, I'm alive again, but this time it's with Mai's heart. And then that's why, then they go back in time. And
oh, this is the part where it gets really fucking stupid.
Yeah, right. I was about to say it.
Before.
You were thinking it, and I was about to say it. So he goes back in time. He can't interact with anybody unless they notice him. it's a callback to the first arc with Mai.
Right.
So now he's in that position. So what does he do?
Bunny Guy Kohai.
Bunny Guy Kohai.
I said that as a joke to you, and it turned out to be fucking true.
I mean, we fucking called it. And he's wearing this pink bunny, I guess, mascot uniform, and he's going around and he's seeing all the people from the show. You know, you got the Kogas and the Futaba. Well, not Futaba, but I think he eventually, gets cotton candy eyes, and then eventually gets to Mai, and he wears it the whole other half of the movie. It's like, does he still have to keep wearing it?
Yeah,
does he have to?
Kogo's the one who notices him, I think.
It is, yeah, she is, and he's like, "Can I touch you?" And she's like, "No." That part I legitimately laughed because it was funny and unexpected.
It retains a lot of the witty dialogue and stuff, which is really nice. The best part of the film, for sure, because the other dialogue ain't gonna do anything for you.
No. But then we get to the epic part where he was about to get hit by the car, so he sees his other self because he's already in the future. So
God.
He's 4 days. He runs wearing the bunny outfit, has the mask on and everything, and he saves his other self and then gets hit by the car in his place by saving himself from himself.
Dis-a-fucking-peers.
Yep.
That's exactly why they manufactured a way to have his puberty syndrome thing or whatever, time travel thing, because it is not fucking explained, actually, as to how he disappears or why he even needs to wear the bunny outfit. Like it's just stupid anyways, because it was interesting with Mai because it's the first thing we saw and we're like, oh, this is like quirky and weird and also half naked anime girl. That gets the attention, you know, gets the eyes drawn a little bit.
Right.
With Bunny Guy Kohai, this is the stupidest shit because it made no fucking goddamn sense, and he gets hit by a car and his body disappears, and that's the only reason he had that outfit on, is so they don't have to, so they can do like a cutaway and the next scene his body's just not there, which is, I guess, supposed to imply something.
Yeah, that he saved himself from himself. But yeah, it was just from that particular scene in general. I loved it, seeing, because you see Shoko there. She's like, "No, Sakata," and then he saves himself, and then she essentially disappears. And I guess we're led to incline that she is gone. Speaking of gone, I guess I'll keep this going, no problem. But yeah, Sakata saves himself. He makes his way back to seeing Mai, and then they both just realize that they're, you know, everything has been done. He's back. Everything's back to normal, and Shoko is essentially gone. It's pretty sad, and I personally think that's where the show or the movie should have ended, was right there. But then they kept going, and they kept going, and they kept going. But yeah, that was overall my my overwhelming thoughts of the show. I guess when Seatactics gets back, I can see what else he thought about it. But yeah, that's I thought it was a nice sort of end. But ultimately, in the end, Shoko, I guess, lived, even though she died. I don't know how she lives, because I thought she had a heart thing. But she just wrote down on a piece of paper that 3 things that she likes is thank you, I love you, and you did your best, or something.
I'm back.
Oh, okay. I was padding there for a bit, but no worries. I figured you had to take care of something. But what was I saying? Oh yeah. So basically, when, like I was saying, when his future self dies, you see Shoko. She then disappears, and then Sakata and Mai kind of reunite at the end, and everything had been basically fixed right there because Shoko disappeared, and he was like, "Well, there was nothing else for me to do because it was either her, me, or Mai." So he had to pick one.
Yeah. Yeah,
But and this
because
is what
the
I was
show makes
also
sense.
saying. Somehow, all she had to do was write her 3 favorite things of what she wanted to be when she grew up, and that cured her heart disease. So that's what it took.
That's literally what this whole fucking thing meant nothing. Because at the
Right.
very end, she's alive and perfectly fine. Even
And
though fucking Mai died right in front of Sakata's eyes, Shoko was dying in front of Sakata's eyes. We went through all of this despair and misery. Sakata died just so this little girl could write down what she wanted to do. And lo and behold, she's fine.
Yep, she didn't know what she wanted to do at the beginning. She's like, dude. But now that she has a will to live, damn her heart disease and all, she writes it down and she goes, "Sensei, I'm done." And years later, she's like on a beach, and Mai's like, "Sakata, do you know that girl?" And he's like, "Nah, I don't know her." But all of a sudden, he hears the ocean and remembers her. But in turn, she remembers him for some reason. And she goes, "Yeah, Sakata." That's literally the end of the movie.
She's like, "Sakata, I'm glad you called out." And I was like, "That's it? That's it?
Right.
What
that's
about
it.
explain? Explanation time."
How did you remember? How are you alive? How did you end up by getting through the fact that you had heart disease that that's really, really bad, and now all of a sudden, it's okay, I'm fine now. How did the parents not even freak out when it's like, who is this teenager calling out to our little girl? Well, are they supposed to be teenagers at that point, or are they like adults? I don't know. I think they're still. Yeah, I think they're still teenagers. Now that I think about it, but it's like the parents are like, who are you, buddy? And who are you calling out to my little girl?
Get out of here. It's astonishingly stupid because it's actually probably the worst writing in the whole series. Just because of the time travel thing. If the time travel thing wasn't there, like I feel like this would be like actually pretty good if they could figure it out without doing the time travel thing. But hey, gotta do time travel for a movie, right?
Right.
I mean, what? So disappointing that I wasted my hour and a half on this movie. Somewhat in terms of the story, I didn't get anything out of this. Honestly, I'll probably forget this really soon because the stakes in this were completely ignored, and by the end, it all meant nothing. It's just everything's solved, just because you have to have a happy ending. They sacrificed everything just so the little girl could stay alive and they could buy their action figures.
Right, and I feel like anime, especially recently, they like to do that a lot. They like to go with the happy ending. They like to, even if somebody fucking dies, they are right there the next moment to be alive somehow. By some act of God, they are alive.
Look in Dragon Ball Z, they were the perfectors of that one.
I mean, them, Bleach. I couldn't tell you how many times people have been stabbed through the heart in Bleach and managed to live.
Naruto to some extent.
Right.
A lot of shonen do it.
Yeah. Like the villains, they have no problem with dying. The heroes, they can bleed gallons and buckets of blood, but they'll manage to still be alive as long as someone uses a healing stone or a sensu bean or, just something to keep them alive. And it's like, why can't we have somebody? I mean, and that's why I like shows like Gurren Lagann. You have some really good characters that die early on. Yeah. And it's that much more impactful because you see the people that get affected by those characters, they grow into the men or the characters that they become, and it's just
Right.
amazing just to see. That is what you call character development.
I mean, look at Attack
But
on Titan specifically. They are
oh,
really good at
right,
that.
oh, so good,
Characters die,
so good,
others move up in their place, and they get character development, and they mean something.
right.
I mean, the
And
secondary
see,
characters in AOT are amazing.
mm-hmm. I just wish animes would be willing to do that more. I'm not saying they don't, obviously, because Attack on Titan does it and whatnot, but I'm talking about, I don't know. There's a lot of these shows like that I see that are just so happy with just, oh, we have to have a happy ending. Not everything has to be a happy ending. Sometimes life sucks and you have to, you know, you have to kind of show
Right.
the realness behind it. She gave her life, he died, or she died so that he could live. And I get it. To get realism in a show like this is impossible. I'm just saying.
Right.
I
Yeah.
would have like respected the show more had they kept that in there, to be honest.
I I respect the people who want to tell a story that is different and unique.
Sure.
This was different and unique, to give them all the credit in the world. It really was. I mean,
Sure.
if you compare light novel, romance, anime, like if you compare like Snafu in real life to this, guess what? This is fairly unique to both of those. Like,
Sure. Absolutely.
and I respect it totally, but I do not respect the decision they. Well, I mean, I have to respect that, but I do not like the
I don't.
direction of this movie. It was horrible. It honestly, if you've seen the anime, in my opinion, you're probably gonna disagree with this because I know this. I think it's your second favorite. I think
Yeah.
this is probably up there in terms of the Bunny Girl Senpai experience. This is if you have seen the series, like I said, you're just not gonna have trouble with this because it's gonna be whatever. But if you want a good cohesively written movie that makes sense, this is one of the worst films I've seen in terms of logic. Like, straight up. Like,
I can't disagree with you on that.
it's really bad. It's just I'm not sure what happened here. I mean, we of course know what happened. You got to have the happy ending. That's kind of the thing with anime, and I hope it's something ReZero doesn't do in the future. I hope ReZero doesn't fall victim to this because it's also based off a light novel, technically a web novel, and I hope they don't sacrifice everything just to have everybody live and have the happy ending.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the show did that, and it suffered too much, to the point of where what is the point? What is the point of watching this? I mean, really.
Yeah.
What closure did you get that you didn't already get with the last episode of the anime?
I agree. The only to be honest, if you look at the ending of that and you look at the ending of this movie, it's other than the fact that you have a character, Shoko, it's literally the same. Everybody's there, everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Sakata's with Mai. Nothing's changed.
It
And
feels like they just, went around the table and collectively high-fived each other.
Right.
Like, hey,
Right.
we created this. Let's just do another thing of Bunny Girl Senpai and have this girl come in. And it's just, honestly, I would have been more interested if she didn't have any of the puberty syndrome, and
Right.
it was all about Sakata's puberty syndrome, about him solving that scar on his chest. But that was as well such a small thing. Like, it started bleeding a couple times, and it was like the center of a couple scenes. But in terms of like it being in the plot and the writing, it was just like almost non-existent and meant nothing until at the very end, when it was like, oh hey, look, it's all gone. Look, the whole his puberty syndrome was saving Shoko's life.
Yep. And all I could say is he loves women.
Yeah. Yeah. Too much.
Yeah.
He needs.
No,
I would say he loved women so much that he would time travel for every. He'd probably kill himself 100 times over for any decently attractive woman that walked in front
that
of
gives him attention.
Like, and that's probably like really good characterization. It's very accurate for Sakata's character, and it's funny, but it got him into so much trouble.
Yeah.
Was it worth it, my man? Was it worth it?
All right, we got a couple of comments here. Echidna again. ReZero will be perfect. I sure hope so. And QRW6. What up? I've never watched the movie, but I wanted to hear y'all thoughts of it's a must see or skip. I mean, if. Well, once this is, you came in a little later, and I was gonna say if you want to see all of us talking in means Seatactics talking about this in detail, start from the beginning because you'll get a lot full description of what we think about it because it's all I can say is that it's interesting and I'm probably never going to watch it again.
I've never if I just can't, like, I can't, I don't want to watch it again. I really don't. And it's not because, like, I don't know, it was the worst viewing experience I've ever had, because it wasn't even close. God, I've seen much worse. But
right.
In terms of this, the writing, it sapped every interest I had of this series. And I think that, you know what, if you're gonna like do that to a person, just do it when you're releasing the final movie to wrap everything up. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. I just can't believe they made us wait a year just to see this. That's the thing that kind of irritates me the most. It's like, really?
Yeah, they could have just continued. Like, they could have just had more episodes. They could have just had like a 16 episode season or a 17 episode season. It would have been totally fine.
Because there's animes that do that. Going back to Gurren Lagann again, they had 27 episodes, so they went like 3 or 4 extra episodes beyond just to tell a good story. And you know, they could have been cheap and they could have just been like, all right, we're just gonna have 24 and then we're just gonna make a movie. But they didn't do that. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
I mean, really, I think people will definitely not like what we have to say about this movie, because I think a lot of the people that watch Bunny Girl Senpai are watching it for different reasons than I think what I'm watching it for. Does that make sense? Like,
no, it does. There are fans and there are people like us that enjoy it for other reasons.
Yeah, like, I mean, I remember when we first started doing this show, at the very end of the 3rd episode, we were like, wow, this is like amazing. Like, this is fantastic. Like, this, like, Bunny Girl Senpai is not at all what you'd think it is from the cover. And by the end, it turned out to be exactly what we thought it was. Why?
Yeah. It's so sad. I swear, animes do that to just suck you in. They have the 3 episode rules, like, okay, you got them in there, and now let's go ahead and throw everything that's contrived and garbage and cliche, so that, you know, now that they have to see if it gets better. It's like they do that on purpose. They make it good, then they throw that in there to make you want to keep watching, so that you think it may get better, but then it never does, and that's exactly what happened.
I mean, QRW6, one of my subscribers as well. I think both Ecchi Donut and QRW6 were around for the original podcast, which is amazing. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you guys for sticking around for this long.
QRW6 brings up Snafu and how it's coming out next season. King of Anime podcast coming back spring. We'll probably be covering Snafu. No promises, but
spring's gonna be amazing.
At Seatactics YT for, you know, when we announce the anime, because that's where I'll be announcing the anime we're going to be covering on that show. Anyways, he brings up Snafu, and I think that's a great comparison, because I think this show, as well with Monogatari, gets compared to that. I think it's really a blend of all those things, honestly. And I think this movie shows that there is a market for this kind of anime, where it's kind of like the normal high school stuff, but there's a little bit of paranormal, or there's a little bit of a mystery, or maybe it's just people get in a club room and they meet up. Obviously there's something about the way that these stories are told that they still mean something, and they can still be told uniquely. Even this one was able to tell its story uniquely, but I think this anime shows that I think Snafu's probably the best one.
I mean, I've loved Snafu ever since it first came out. God, in 2013. I can't believe it's been 7 years. But yeah, I think what makes Snafu better and sets it apart from pretty much all genres of slice of life is the writing. It actually feels like legit. Like if you were to talk to me, and if I was to talk to you, like that's how people talk. That's how people act. This is how people feel when certain things happen to them. And to me, that's what makes Snafu better than all the rest. There's just no comparison.
Seriously. I remember when I first watched that anime in like 2014 or 15, whenever the first season, like a year or so after it came out, and I watched it, and then the first thing I took away from it, and this was back when I was like doing anime videos, but I wasn't very good at analyzing things, or I wasn't a very good critic. That's the one thing that I caught on and noticed immediately, was like, holy crap, like the dialogue in this is so well thought out and interesting. And if you watch Snafu and then you go and watch this, it's I guarantee you this almost 9.0 rating this movie got on Mal would not be a 9.0 rating, because realistically, I think Snafu shows, really honestly, any anime in this kind of genre shows that Bunny Girl Senpai probably has the weakest out of all the dialogue, but it has the prettiest girls, so 9.0.
Right, it's got the prettiest girls. You got the ones in the suits and the costumes, and so that's what makes it worthwhile. Give me a break. But I think on top of that, yeah, I think I might just be doing a weekly Snafu thing if we don't happen to do it on your show. I definitely want to keep talking about it, just because it's like that's one of my favorite shows, and now it's going to be ending. Yeah, Snafu is popular enough to get a dub. Thank you, Sentai Filmworks. But the dub is okay, better not. But yeah, well, of course, the sub is great, but I understand why dubs are out there.
Yeah, it's to get people
they do what they do.
Show.
Yep, and I'm totally fine with that. I mean, I used to be a dub snob. Don't get me wrong, but there are some shows that no matter how I watch it or how I listen to it, I'm just always going to watch it sub. Snafu's one of them. But I've noticed we've been talking about Snafu when we're talking about Bunny Girl.
Well, I think it's something that was interesting to bring up, because I think this show, honestly, when this settles, I think people will realize honestly how bad this was. Like how interesting of a concept, how great the character designs were, sure, hot girls, whatever. And the voice acting was phenomenal. And, the production around it was fantastic. But I think in time, people will definitely loosen up to the fact that Bunny Girl Senpai was an interesting show with an interesting concept that tried very hard at times and succeeded a lot. Like, I mean, I think 3 episodes out of 13 at least is like a lot of, because those 3 episodes at the beginning were perfect to me.
Yeah. And I would go back just to watch those 3 episodes and nothing else.
Yes. Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth. I 1,000,000% agree with that, because they're that good.
Yeah.
But I think after this all settles, and 4 or 5 years from now, or 2 or 3, when all the YouTubers come back around and start talking about this film, I guarantee you there's going to be tons of videos. They're going to be like, Bunny Girl Senpai wasn't as good as we thought it was. Looking back at the mess that was Bunny Girl, or something.
Yeah, we'll have a I don't know, like a YouTube rewind or a decade rewind or something, and we're just gonna go, remember Bunny Girl Senpai? Well, it sucked.
Well, I think
here's
sucked.
Why.
I think saying it sucked is even harsh. It's a complicated series.
Right.
Honestly, it really
Right.
is. Like
Yeah,
it's I am very harsh in my criticism of this show, but I feel like it doesn't like it was not like a terrible thing to watch. This is like, if we're going by Mal's weird rating system, I would say at least this is like a 7. you know
right.
I think that's fair enough because it's just the writing was really bad, and
Sure.
some people prefer the writing over cute girls, and that's all right. That's totally all right. But I really think people got blinded by something. I don't know what it was. It could have been the studio itself. It could have been.
It was probably the intro. The intro was catchy.
Hell yeah, yeah.
Kimi no se, kimi no se.
It's great. I mean, it's a seasonal anime that's based off a light novel. Usually those are going to be pretty big, anyways. But
yeah,
it's it's not. I don't know. I like criticizing this show because it's really fun to pick it apart, honestly. I'm just going to be real. Because it's so easy to see the issues with Bunny Girl Senpai, and it's so fun.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think the fact that we criticize this show isn't so much a testament to how much we hate it, but it just kind of shows, I guess, what it could be. Like, it could be so much better than what it is currently right now. And I think because I was spoiled of I know what a good anime show looks like. I see them and I enjoy it, and I'm like, okay, that's a good show. Then you see something like this and you're like, well, that's not as good, but it could definitely be better. And I feel like sometimes fans, we see shows like that and we just settle and we say, well, yeah, that's a good show, even though it's not. You know what I mean? Like we just go, yeah, okay, that was good.
I feel like this is like a C tier anime that comes off as an A tier, like it's presented like as this big deal.
Yeah,
because
I think that's a great way to explain it.
Because for whatever reason, it's able to do that and get away with it, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I appreciate Bunny Girl Senpai just as much as the next person, but it's really fun to say it sucks and that its writing is terrible because its writing is terrible, and whoever wrote it really needs to think about some things before sending it off to get pressed.
I agree.
Because it's like some of these things are just so simple, so easy to like the time travel thing. Really, I mean, did we really have to do the time travel thing? Did we?
Well, when in doubt, and if something sucks, put time travel in it.
It's such a stupid and like dumb trope. It never works, and yet for some reason people will find a way to make a dumb time travel movie, and this just goes in the pile, my friend.
I mean, every once in a while there's a show that uses it to its advantage. Steins Gate is a very perfect example of it because they are trying to find out how to time travel. So I mean, that works on its own. But when you get a movie like Avengers, and then as much as I love Endgame, I didn't see it going any other way other than for them to use the time travel trope. And I'm like, okay, I guess I get it, but it just kind of waters it down, in my opinion. I know everyone loves Endgame, but I'm one of the few people that actually liked Infinity Wars better than Endgame. I'm not so
sure about that. All I've seen on the internet is people hate Endgame, and they love Infinity War.
I mean, maybe I'm just looking at the money it made, because it certainly made a lot of money.
It made too much money. Give me some of that.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, the point is, it definitely watered it down. It made it feel like it wasn't, because Infinity Wars to me was pinnacle, was the top tier, and when you're going to end it like that, how else are you going to try to fix it? There's no other way to fix it other than to just,
They could, but this movie created the time travel issue. Like in the movie itself, when we
Yeah.
went into this film, we didn't have this concept of time travel. And once we got rolling, they started introducing all these different shokos and all these time travel elements, these plot specific things to set up time travel. And the time travel stuff technically didn't even come into effect like until like near the ending of this thing. Like in the middle, near end of the second act is when that stuff kicked in. And
Right.
that's why I say it's worse than Endgame. Because Endgames is a popular example, but it's definitely not the worst example of time
Oh
travel
no.
I've ever seen.
No. Ever seen the remake of The Time Machine?
This
That's pretty bad.
what was that indie movie that did time travel really well? It was created by like some guy.
Looper.
Yeah, I believe so. Maybe.
That was a good movie until they got to the barn and they spent like
Oh
half an
no,
hour on the barn, and I'm like,
not the Bruce Willis one. It's like it was an independent film created in like the early 2000s about this guy who did like he invented time travel in his like garage, and like it was so perfectly told of like you couldn't really understand what was happening sometimes because it effectively and realistically told what time travel would be like. To me, that's the pinnacle. This is like near the bottom. It's definitely not at the bottom. Maybe a couple of notches above the bottom.
a tune that says, how would you guys have ended Bunny Girl Senpai? I would have ended it with one of them dying and just leaving it as that, as a basically, you know, kind of like a lesson of you can't save everybody as much as you want to. That
Yes.
speaks more
Yes.
than everyone having a perfect ending. You know, if he died or if she died, whoever died, I would have ended it to where this was a lesson for Sadako, basically saying you cannot save everybody. You're not Superman. You've been doing it this whole time, and now you face the consequence.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever seen the remake of True Grit. Amazing ending. She goes out and she gets revenge, and at the end of it, she pays for it with her arm and basically pays with it with everything. It's such a good movie, and I thought it was way better than the John Wayne version. As much as I respect that movie too.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I would have went the whole a silent voice route with it, where it was just super like at the beginning of the movie, you're like everyone's so happy, and this thing gets introduced of like her having this disease that will she will end her life. That will eventually end her life. Don't even do the thing where Sakato may die. Have his puberty syndrome, have that scar be a representation of that choice and decision. And you know what? Have it never go away. Have it always be there that he made the decision to, of course, let Shoko pass on or whatever it may be, or live. Because they could do that as well. They could still do that. All I'm saying is that we didn't need this. Whatever this was, it would have been so much better if you're totally right, EA. If they just had this story about making the hard, tough decisions, or in a tough moment where someone is going to die unless they get this heart transplant, and living for them in that moment to give them to comfort them on their on their journey when they're not here with the living, and have that really sink into the viewer that, hey, you only got so many chances to do this. You got one. And we don't know if there's an afterlife. We don't know if there's reincarnation. So make every chance count. And that should have been the message. That should have been the way the story was told. Instead, they did time travel. I saved my waifu. Hooray.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, it's I mean, what else is there to say? We've been going on this for almost an hour, but I guess if in a way to wrap it up, I think we pretty much, well, here's what I'll say as far as my piece with this movie, or this show series in general. It's not as bad as, as we make it out to be, but it definitely could be a lot better. than a lot of shows. And I think that's what makes it so frustrating with this show, is that it has potential, but there's other ones that are better.
Yeah. I think if I'm going to give this a rating, which I don't do ratings because I feel they're completely arbitrary, but I think this is a good place to put it into perspective. I think this film is totally average, 5 out of 10. I think that's fair. I think it's a good film in terms of its production, but I think its writing really, really weighs it down and really makes it kind of a cumbersome watch. Even you kind of feel it, kind of feel that that 90-minute runtime, which is weird to think that you kind of get bored of a 90-minute film, but
Right.
there you go. It's just the way it is. I think that's totally fair. I don't. 5 out of 10 is in the middle. It's average. It's got some things that are really good. It's got some things that are interesting, but it's got a hell of a bad side to it. And it really shows, especially if you're paying even half attention. I'm sure that we can analyze this film and find more issues.
Right.
I'd give the Bunny Girl Senpai anime a 7 or an 8. Maybe go in between a 0.5, a 0.75 for the anime. I think that I think the anime is, compared to this, phenomenal, to be honest. I think QRW6 just commented, he said, so it's just another show and not something different. I don't think it's that. I think it's not another show. It's unique. This movie is yet another time travel movie, though, which is why I would say this is an average film compared to the anime, because the anime is 13 episodes. You get 3 really damn good episodes. You get the Koga arc, which is good. It's just not as good as the first 3 episodes. And then the rest of it kind of slowly dissipates until the end, where it kind of picks back up. But probably to right below the Koga stuff. And then you have this film, which it's just a waste of time, in my opinion. There's no reason to watch this film, because by the end, there's no point for this film to even be a film, because the plot completely ignores the motivations of the characters and the reason for this story even existing. And so, just watch the anime.
Right. If they want to make the first 3 episodes and turn that into a movie,
hell yes.
I'll gladly watch it.
Hell yes.
But everything else, I'll pass.
Right. Hey, you know what? You want to put out, if they this would have been actually really cool if they did this. You're right. Do like a 2-hour movie on Mai and Sakata's relationship. Have a bunch of these characters in there. And then, hey, the Koga stuff, and fair enough. Put out something for Koga if you want to later on. I'm okay with that.
Give it to the 2 or 3 fans that love her. Oh, and give it to the 1 fan that loves Futaba. Make that movie too.
Oh, but man. We didn't talk about her, but I don't think we have to.
No, we
talked about her. Yeah, just not. We didn't go in depth because she's the same.
Well, she's there to. Well, we said it. She's there to tell us that he's a rascal and that there is science behind what's going on.
Somehow. Somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. There's another funny line in here where at the end he meets Koga again, and she notices Sakata, and Sakata's like, nothing beats a butt kicking, buddy.
Isn't that when she said she's super pissed?
Oh, that was great.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I was about to call you Satsuki. That's someone else. Seatactics. Where can they find you?
Find me at youtube.com/C/Seatactics, or you can just, I don't know, click the link somewhere. I also have a second channel called Bento, where I do weekly anime podcasts, if I can actually do them. We'll see. Yeah. And in the spring of 2020, King of Anime Podcast will be coming back. One of the shows that we will be covering that is confirmed is ReZero Season 2. The others, you have to wait And you have to follow me at Seatactics YT. That's because that's where I'll be announcing them, and then at a later date, probably the same day, but at a later time, announcing them on my community tab on my main channel, Seatactics.
And I cannot wait. I'm so looking forward to that. We're already 2 months away, if you can believe that. It's already February.
Yeah, I guess you could call this the promotion tour for the 2020 King of Anime comeback, because I think as well we have some things planned for Monica Magica and Vinland Saga.
Yeah, that's gonna. Man, I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to that very much so on that return. But all right, Seatactics, it's been a pleasure of you joining me on this here podcast discussing this here show, movie / series.
Mhm.
And until next time, y'all, it's been real. Watch Kaguya EA. Oh boy.
Haven't you tried a couple times?
I only watched the first 2 episodes, but you said it gets better at 3.
Yeah, in my opinion, it does.
All right, well, I'll have to settle down and watch that. And until next time, y'all, be amazing, have a good one, and see you in the next video.